95% right there. 283 marks out of 300 in A-level maths. Today I'm not going to give you any vague advice like just do past papers, bro, or just do questions, bro, spam questions. I'm going to give you the exact system that got me 95% in A-level maths. And this is to ensure that you are also able to get 95% or very, very close to it. Now, for some quick context, my name's Shayan. I'm a first-year dental student at University of Manchester. And to get into that competitive course with a 1 in 18's admissions rate, I needed the grade in maths. And it didn't come easy to me. I remember I was in bottom set in year 10 and 11, and I climbed my way up to the top, scoring the highest in maths in my year in A-levels, despite not even taking further maths. So here, I'm not going to give you some crappy advice that, or a highlight reel that some student who's always gotten good grades in maths would give you on this app. I'm going to give you the real advice to push your grade up. Now, right away, I'm going to get into the method on how I did this. So I limited my resources to 3 resources max, which I'll go over now. First off, I get a basic understanding of the topic, a very, very basic understanding, whether that was through learning in class, whether that was through watching a TL maths video on the topic, or we'll pick whatever YouTuber we want. It really doesn't matter. I know some people get caught up between Bison Maths or whatever. Whichever YouTuber, you pick a video, you watch the video, and you understand the topic. And this shouldn't take long. You just need to watch the video once. After this, then I would go on to Madass Maths. If you guys don't know, it's a website. I'll link it down below. This website has the best questions for A-level maths in my opinion. They have different difficulties with different stars next to it. The higher you go in stars, the higher the difficulty level. So I would essentially attempt all the way up to the 5-star questions for these, starting off with the 1-star and building my way up based on how easy it was. So if I was just smashing all the 1-stars, like I got the last 10 in a row correct and it was way too easy, then yeah, I'm moving on to 2-star. That's how I would do it. I wouldn't work through all of them for each topic. What I would do is then I would, for every wrong question, I would make sure that I do it again, repeat it, not just look at the solution in the Madass Math Solutions booklet. I would redo the exact same question with the exact same numbers. And a lot of people don't do this. They think, what's the point in me redoing the question when I've seen the answer and I've seen the solution? The point is to engrave it into your mind. The point is to memorize that solution so that if a similar question comes up again within 4 weeks time, you're not going to forget how to do it. You're not going to make the same mistake again. The goal here is to learn, and to learn through doing and active learning. A lot of people think that it doesn't apply for maths, that maths is something that comes naturally. It's not like biology where you can memorize the answers through flashcards, but you can memorize answers and methods and solutions and just apply it to different questions with different numbers. That's the goal here. After I'd done all the Madass Maths questions, I would go into Physics and Maths Tutor and attempt some past paper questions for that specific topic. And once I had done that, then I would attempt actual past papers later on in the year when I had mocks coming up or whatever. And I would still repeat the same. If I got the question wrong, redo the question process. This just ensured that I was able to memorize the solutions for questions I got wrong. I would also compile it into a document. I also had a Google spreadsheet in which I logged all the wrong questions I was getting. And I logged it for each and every subtopic. So if it was integration by substitution, I'd log, okay, here's one question I got wrong for integration by substitution. And then also, what was the specific methodology used? I'd write it down in a 1-sentence summary in the Google spreadsheet. And this is because there's different types of integration by substitution questions. They're not all linear in maths. Sometimes they'll throw some spin in to make it more confusing, to make it more harder, to make it more difficult. It's simply what they have to do to filter out the high achiever students to the low achiever students. These questions are the ones that usually got me out and would be getting you out as well. However, through this method, I was able to get full marks on my pure paper too. Now, as for the questions I got wrong, if I completely understood that there was no way that I was understanding that topic, then I would rewatch the TL Maths or Bison Maths video only once. I really can't stress this enough. Do not get obsessed with understanding. Then I would go and attempt more Madass Maths questions, and then I would repeat the process and try grill it into my head, grill the solution into my head. Now with A-level maths, I want you guys to not bother with understanding. Now with understanding, like except for the first very initial understanding of the basics of integration, right? You do not need to understand anything. There's not really much there to understand. It's more just pattern recognition. Now, how do you apply pattern recognition to A-level maths? You apply pattern recognition by exhausting yourself, by doing a plethora of different types of questions. And once you've been exposed to every single type of integration by substitution question, which people say you can't do, you can do. There's only it's A-level maths. They're not going to go beyond the specification. They're only going to ask a specific type of question. So you can exhaust those different types. And once you've done that, if any similar question comes up in the exam, even remotely similar, you will be able to apply the same methods and solutions. And sure, they may throw in a curveball where you have to mix different, like a method that you used for one question on Madass Maths to another, and you have to combine them two. However, this is just simple critical thinking, which you will develop by doing practice, because when you do past papers, there will be questions like that where you will have to apply the same critical thinking. So you would have already practiced all this. Now, the 2 most common mistakes I see people make are, number 1, picking too many resources. If you clicked on this video expecting like me to give you like the 10 ultimate resources for A-level maths, then no, click off. Okay, that's just the most stupid thing that I ever see. I see it so much on TikTok and on YouTube. These YouTubers and TikTokers, they'll just bomb you with a bunch of resources, which you just don't need. You pick 3. You pick 3 resources and you stick to it. Mine, Madass Maths, physics and maths tutor, TL Maths YouTube videos. And also, there was one more on YouTube, Mr. Asprey Maths, but that was it. Mr. Asprey Maths, essentially, the reason why I recommend Mr. Asprey Maths so much is because every time I would do a past paper, for every mistaked, wronged question I got, I would go and I would watch Mr. Asprey do it on his past paper walkthrough videos. The reason for this was that Mr. Asprey would walk through these questions like he was teaching a 5-year-old. Now, I'm not 5, I'm not dumb, but it really helped me due to the fact that he goes through his exact thought process and he goes through every single step methodically, way more in detail than the solutions on physics and maths tutor or in just the past paper mark schemes. This allowed me to replicate that thinking into my own past papers. And when I did this, I was able to get a much higher score on past papers down the line because I just replicated Mr. Asprey's thinking and the way he attempted these questions methodically. Another mistake I see people make is they spend way too long thinking about understanding. They'll have a topic, let's say they're doing bad in integration by substitution. Then they'll tell their teacher, Miss, I'm struggling integration by substitution. This isn't working out for me. And then the teacher will be like, okay guys, we're going to gather up all the students who are struggling and we're going to do an after school session in which we go over integration by substitution. And all they will do is they'll just reteach the topic and do some work examples on the board. Maybe if you're lucky. Usually they'll just reteach the topic. The problem with this is that you don't actually actively learn anything. The teacher's already taught you before. You don't need more understanding. You simply need to see it in practice and do. You get caught up with the idea of understanding. It's integration. Like you guys don't need to know how it. And usually for example, in these lessons, what they will do to reinforce your understanding, they'll show you how integration and differentiation works on the graphs. You guys must have had that lesson before. I know I did, but I remember like I went in that lesson and I wasn't listening at all. And there were other students who were paying notes attentively. They loved that lesson. They saved it in their Google Classroom and they were going over it again and again. However, like it just didn't matter because at the end of the day, that's not going to be on my test. So I didn't bother thinking about it. Although it was interesting, right? I did have a look at it in my own free time due to personal interest. But in the moment, there was no need for me to understand. So I didn't bother. You simply need, in A-level maths, you simply need to replicate your thought process onto different questions based on the questions that you've seen before, and that's it. There's nothing to understand. It's simply pattern recognition, and that's what I want you to apply to every single question. I remember when I was in A-levels, right, I missed the first 3 to 4 weeks of A-levels because I had to go back to Pakistan due to some family problems. Now, in these 3 to 4 weeks, they had covered a good amount. My school was quite quick with it. They covered all of differentiation for year 12, and they covered a few other topics too, like some graph ones. I don't even remember now. But yeah, essentially, they cover all of these topics. And they were saying we're going to have an end of topic test within a few days. So I had 4 days to prepare for this end of topic test with no prior teaching and no prior knowledge of the A-level course because I had been away. Now, in these 4 days, I had very little time to prepare. In this little time, I thought, okay, I'm going to write down 3 or 4 things which are the most important to me right now to ensure that I can get a good grade on that test. And those 3 and 4 things make up the method I just outlined for you. And when I did that, I applied that method. I ignored I hadn't been taught anything. I self-taught it all myself. And I walked in on that test and I walked out with 49 out of 50. Everyone else in my year, I don't think there was a single person that even got an A star in that test, so above like 43, due to the fact that everyone was so new to the A-level course. These are all A-level questions. My teachers never gave us AS questions. And a lot of people were very unused to the difficulty. But me, because I applied this method, I had seen all those similar types of questions before. Not the exact questions, but something similar. Even if there was a little bit of a twist, I knew I could apply my knowledge from other similar type of questions. But I know that there was no way that any other student had been exposed to as many questions as I had at that point because they were just doing the homework the teacher set them, like doing 1 or 2 questions in the exercise book. However, and they may have watched like an extra video before the night of the exam. But if you actively revise and actively expose yourself to a plethora of questions, there's nothing holding you back from getting a high grade in A-level maths. The reason why I'm telling you how I actually thought up of this method is because 95% of you guys will click on this video, and you probably would have already clicked off by now, but you guys would have watched the video and you would have come for the method. You would have come for the resources. You would have come for these shiny objects. But the 5% of you would have asked me, why did you do that? Why did you make that method? Why did you take this approach to A-level maths? And that 5% of you, I've explained it to you now why I took that approach, and those 5% of you will be able to apply that to any area of in your lives and any other subject and replicate your own methodology for success. And when you're able to do this, you will just succeed in everything academically. That's genuinely it. That's all there is to getting 95% in A-level maths. There's no secret resource, some secret revision app that you guys haven't heard of yet. There's simply the system and methodology I've outlined for you, this very small 3 to 4 step system. So if you're sitting where I was in year 13, where the grades simply don't match the hours you put in and the hours of effort you're putting in, sometimes with your revision, it's more about doing 3 things consistently and in a very high quality over than doing 10 different things all right in a mid fashion. Anyway, that's it. That's 95%. I hope some of it's useful. I hope you guys subscribe, comment, and like the video. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oof, the beard is actually getting way too long, guys. I wanted to keep like a Jeremy Fragrance style stubble type look from when he was in his prime, but I don't even have like a trimmer, so I can't trim it down to get that stubble. So I am going to be shaving today. First time shaving in a few weeks. Yeah, I don't even have a trimmer, so I'm gonna have to go straight in with the cutthroat, which I'm praying I don't cut myself, guys. Pray for me. But yeah, I've done my carb up for the day, so I'm gonna take a shower before I shave as well, just to make sure that the skin gets like, there's like something with the skin. When you shower, when you take a hot shower, your skin softens, so it shaves like easier and cleaner. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then also, this is done right before I hit the gym. So I've also had some caffeine, I've had some coffee, and I've had a banana. So yeah, I'll just shower, shave, and then head to the gym. Clean shaven now, kind of. This is like as close I can get, guys. My facial hair is just way too dense for me to go closer. Even after like using a cutthroat razor, oil shaver, this is the closest shave I can get. I'm missing the facial hair, but it'll grow back genuinely. Tomorrow morning, I'll record a video for you guys and it will have grown back. So yeah, I don't really need to worry about it too much. Well, I cut myself way too much, I can't lie. But yeah, it's time to hit the gym now. Getting a nice little upper body session, so yeah, see you there. Got done with the gym session. I listened to nothing but Chava music the entire time. Straight Chava and Reform Nigel Farage music. I feel like a complete brown, I feel like a Pakistani Uncle Tom right now. We're done with the gym now, and I was actually going to get groceries for my mum on the way back, like some chicken, but like they were gone for break, so I couldn't get that. But yeah, now I gotta go drop off. I'll show you guys. Vintage parcel, I got some shoes here which I sold. I always feel so hyped up when I sell something on Vintage, you know. I'm like, yo, you know, the money's coming into my account. But then the second I actually have to ship it, it's just like, I literally need to ship it to get my money, but I literally just can't be asked. So I always make sure I do it on like the way back from the gym. But yeah, without further ado, let's go get this shipped. I've actually just had to come home because My jeans sold as I was in the gym, which I didn't realize. So I had to get that, and I'm going to ship them off as well. Luckily, the in-post locker is right next to the everyone, so I'll be able to do both at the same time.
Mate,
I have a receipt for you as
good,
well.
good, better
Thank
than
you.
Saturday, eh? Stuff in person.
Okay, and that'll be on the website, okay?
Thank you. Guys, the person working there made me touch a receipt. It's going to lower my test.